when our title of, doctor of optometry or optometric physician, that's what it was. It was the word physician was going to be taken away from us, I think was a big shock to a lot of people. When people say optometrists aren't real doctors, I think that's bull bleep. You can put that in there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ryan Flex. My name is Dr. Ryan Corte. Today, I have a special guest with me, Dr. Gabriela Olivares. Gabby and I, she goes by Gabby, connected a long time ago. She was involved in some of the earlier video production I did with Intro Eyes and Intro Wellness and consumer education, but she continues to shine and, she's very active on social media. And so I reached out and I was like, hey, I'd love to have you on the podcast. We can have a conversation, catch up, and see how you're doing. So Gabby, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Ryan. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. So let's take a little bit of a step back for kind of your optometric journey. I love to kind of hear how and why people got into the profession, but also how it's unraveled. And I think that's very valuable to listeners because we all have a different journey that we take in optometry. And so I want to step back into high school and even college. Gabby, walk me through kind of what that looked like. Where'd you go to undergrad and then optometry school? Just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what's going on there.
Of course. So I grew up with a Catholic background, so I always attended a Catholic school. In high school, I always told all my friends and my teachers that I wanted to be an emergency room doctor.
Ooh.
So that's what I thought I was going to do. I knew I wanted to be in the healthcare field. And that's kind of what I had my mindset on. So when I went to college, I went to the University of Central Florida, UCF in Orlando, and I took a class called Overview of Select Medical Careers. And that class taught me about all the different healthcare professions, including chiropractor, dentistry, PA, nursing, MD, DO, optometry. And that's when I was a little shocked with the schooling that medical school was going to take me.
Yeah.
I wasn't really ready to make that sort of commitment. I knew I wanted to do other things in life. I knew I wanted a family and I wanted a very flexible schedule. And I knew that being a female ER doctor was not the right choice for me. So that's when I decided to shadow ophthalmologists and my own optometrist back at home. And that's when I decided, you know what? I think optometry is a really awesome field. It gives me a lot of flexibility, work-life balance. I'm able to still be a doctor, run my own practice if I wanted to. And that's really when I committed myself to wanting to go to optometry school. So I then went to Nova. And I lived at home with my parents because I was able to save a lot of money.
Very
my
smart.
mom did, yes. My mom did the cooking, the cleaning. So if you're able to do that, I would recommend you living at home with your parents because I was able to save a ton of money doing it that way. And I went to Nova and I got a scholarship, actually. I got the Chancellor Scholarship, which allowed me to even pay less, coming out of optometry school, because nowadays things are so expensive, going to professional school is so expensive. So I not only was living at home with my parents, but also Nova was paying half of my tuition. So really coming out of school, I only owed $70,000. And
wow.
That was huge. Yeah.
That
huge.
is awesome.
I was able to pay it off in my first or second year of working. I committed to, everything that I made, I would pay it off. And then my father said that the best day of his life was the day that I got off of his payroll.
Aww.
So yeah, that's kind of where my journey kind of began. And it's kind of funny because I'm very similar to my Cuban grandmother who passed away when I was at UCF. And I actually found out that when I decided and I told her, listen, this is what I think I want to do. She's like, that is so funny. Like, that's what I wanted to do when I was little. But,
No
women,
kidding.
Yeah, it's crazy. Women, during her time period were not allowed to study and go to school. So that also was like really special to me, is like, this is what my grandmother wanted to do. And her and I are so alike that is pretty amazing.
Well, thank you for sharing all that. That is really impressive. A couple things I want to point out here.
Mhm.
Kudos to UCF for having a credit
Oh,
hour course. Like you legit got
yeah,
credit for that course. It wasn't like an
I did.
elective where it was going through
No.
all of the
Hmm.
different healthcare settings, because I feel like that is one of the number one
Yep.
questions that I get being out now since 2012. Hey, what is optometry? How is
Right.
optometry different? What are all these different professions under the not only the optometry, the medical umbrella?
Right. What tests do you have to take? What does it take to get into these schools? Like, we went into detail, um, and that to me kind of shocked me, and there are some people who start professional school and then end up dropping out because they didn't understand what it took. And, that's money, that's time. And so
Yeah.
if we all were prepared and like, we know what it takes to get into professional school and what it's going to be like during professional school, I think that would help, with a lot of these students that drop out and that don't make it, because then they decide, you know what, this isn't what I expected.
And you mentioned too that optometry allows you to have more of a balanced family life. That was one of the main reasons I even went down the pathway I did. And you referenced how being an ER surgeon, as amazing as it would be, your life would be completely different.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
appreciative are you to have landed on a profession that allows you to be the mom that you are, the wife that you are? I mean, I follow you on social. We've connected in many different ways and times, but you're active in many different ways outside of just patient care.
Yes. Yeah, so I love that I can do other things. I personally don't own my own practice. I work with 5 other ODs. We're the biggest practice in South Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have a ton of technology, which I'm so appreciative of. But I'm able to take time away from the practice and do other things, like go to my kids' plays or whatever it is. I also started consulting for Johnson and Johnson about 2 years ago, which has, given me something a little different to do, kind of
Yeah.
break up my day to day. I love teaching other doctors about the latest technology, especially when it comes to contact lenses and traveling a little bit. So optometry gives me that work-life balance. I'm able to work out every morning. I don't have to, be at the surgical center at 7 a.m., for my first case. I'm able to go to the gym, come home, get the kids ready, and then, get to work.
That is awesome. Yeah, and so how old are your kids?
I have a 5-year-old who's almost 6 and a 3-year-old, 3.5.
Okay. Yeah, I got 7 and 4.5. And kudos to you for being very committed to your fitness journey. That's actually something that you kind of champion.
Thank you.
Well, you do. I mean, you champion it. You post a lot about it.
Yeah,
Walk me through what that looks like, that kind of dedication to
sure.
being active in fitness and getting up that early, but also being able to help get the kids out to to school
Right.
and be a practicing mom.
So I think being part of the healthcare profession and dealing with a lot of different morbidities, we need to be able to educate our patients who have diabetes, high blood pressure, struggling with weight loss, on not just how these, conditions can affect their eyes, but also how they can make these lifestyle changes in order to just help,
Hmm.
So I educate my patients about lifestyle changes, so what are you eating? Are you exercising? What are you doing as part of your fitness journey? And they see me too, they're like, whoa, they're like, you've been lifting weights. And I'm like, oh, I was like, you can join me too, anyone can do it. And that's the beauty of fitness, is there's always ways to scale down or do things a little bit differently. I think that a lot of people are scared of what I do, which is CrossFit training, because you can get hurt. Well, you can also get hurt by doing anything. You could be walking down the sidewalk and twist your ankle, and also sitting at home on the couch all day, doesn't help either. So it's good to get out there, try new things, come up with a goal and start there, and then kind of track your journey. As soon as you start seeing changes with your body and you start to feel good, you're more energized, then that's going to really motivate you to continue to do better. So I think for me too is finding a gym that is accepting, that is welcoming, that has these amazing members that then become your patients. They're all my patients, which it's been such a practice builder because
Oh yeah.
I not only see them at the gym, but now they trust me with their eye care. So they come to me, they bring to me, their family members, their kids. So it's been really great in that aspect. But I think truly being in the healthcare profession, we need to lead by example. So we too need to make sure that we're eating healthy, that we're exercising. And these things are going to be, very important for us in the future for our, osteoporosis and like women and just all these different changes that we go through as we age. If we're not taking care of our bodies and ourselves now, these are going to be issues that we're going to be dealing with later on in the future.
Yeah, you nailed it. And we got to walk the walk, right? We can't just
Right.
talk the talk. It's something that as each year goes by, I think about it more and more about how to balance out the health dynamic of being somebody who's involved in the profession, has a business and, has
Mhm.
kids and a family and stressors, how
Right.
important it is to be physically active, but also take care of your mental health and
Right.
well-being.
Right.
I practice mindfulness. I talk to a therapist from time to time. I think it's healthy to do these things, and it just allows you to have an outlet and have
Right.
a medium to be positive and get off your chest certain things that are building up over time. And if we don't do this, it reflects in how we communicate with others,
Mhm.
including our family members, our patients, and how we
Right.
practice.
Hmm.
Very
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah. So, I go at 6 a.m. is the class. That's when it starts. So every Monday through Friday, I wake up at 5:20 a.m. and it's something that I
Wow.
look forward to, like I'm excited. Like if I don't go, I don't feel like myself. And that gets me down. That, I have less energy. I don't feel well. So if you can just get into that routine and set yourself a goal and start meeting your goals, it's going to make a huge change on your body, not just physically, but mentally, like you had said.
That's really early. How in the world did
Really.
you get that routine set up? Like, I mean, are you going to bed at about 8:30, 9 o'clock? Are you
Yeah.
like, what does that look like
Yeah.
on your end? And when did you start
Yeah.
doing this where you really got this consistent?
Yeah. I've always been a morning person, first off. So I
That
think
helps.
some people do better working out in the morning. Other people do better working out in the afternoon or at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I'm just exhausted and my kids need me. It's bath time, dinner time. So, my kids are in bed by 7:30. So really by 8, I'm in bed and I'm like, I'm done with the day. So I have to say that I am asleep by 9:30. So like
Good for
passed
you.
out. And I value my sleep. So if I don't get like from 9 to like 5:15, I am tired. But
Sure.
once you get into that routine, kind of, at the end of the day, you're tired. So you sleep better. So that, working out early has really helped me sleep better too at night.
Now, how about your husband? Is he also in the same kind of routine, or does it where you guys kind of stagger? Maybe he sleeps in a little more, he's up a little later. Maybe
Yeah.
he takes care of the kids if they wake up while you're at the gym. Like, what does that look like? Because I feel like in my house, my wife and I have a similar timeline. It's hard for us to
Mm,
get up that early. We get up early,
yeah.
6 o'clock, but usually it's
Right.
taking care of the kids and everything to get them out the door.
Right. So normally he's still sleeping. So by the time I get home at 7, everyone's kind of waking up together at the same time. So
Hmm.
I rush to shower, take my protein, my creatine while I'm in the shower,
I
and
love it.
I just get ready very quickly so that I can attend to all the other things. But he, does more of like the morning routine until I'm done getting ready. And then we kind of just conquer, the kids, getting them ready, lunches. And then I'm out of the door by 8 o'clock. So, I'm the one who takes the kids to school every single morning. And then I have my first patient at 8:15. So it is a time crunch. And I'm like, oh, go, 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 go. But I don't want to go to the gym at 5 a.m.
Mm-mm.
That would be better time wise, but that's a little early for me.
Yeah, I mean, you have it scheduled out to a T,
Perfect.
and you
Yeah.
almost have to. If there's any
Yeah.
hiccups there, it's
Oh,
somebody's running late, something's happening. Uh,
meltdown. Yeah. Kid
Oh,
meltdown. Yeah.
the little one
Trauma,
tantrums, you
something.
can't control
Yeah.
those things. You can't
Yeah.
control
No,
those
no.
things.
And they happen, but you make it work. You make it work.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears here, though. So you had referenced that your grandma wanted to go into the profession of optometry, but based
Right.
on just the timing of her generation, and you referenced she was from Cuba, or not Cuba? Did you
Yeah.
say Cuba? Okay,
Yeah.
so from Cuba.
Yes.
So then was that mom or dad's side?
My dad. My
Okay.
dad's Cuban and my mom is Chilean.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so, you have like this strong heritage, Cuban, Chilean. How did her words and then your parents' words kind of inspire you in your optometric journey? What does that look like since you've nailed it down, went to undergrad, then Nova? Kind of walk me through that.
So, no one in my family was actually an optometrist. I didn't know much about optometry other than just going to my regular eye exams, that my mom would make me go to. I never had any vision issues. I don't have that story of, oh, I'm so myopic. And then
Couldn't see or
yeah,
yeah.
or I was amblyopic or strabismic. And, my optometrist changed my life. I don't have that story. And so when I decided that optometry was something that I wanted to do, my parents were like, oh, cool. Like, that sounds like a great profession. And it wasn't until I told my grandmother that I realized that that was something that she wanted to do too. So, my whole family, like, we don't really come from a healthcare background either. My father, an accountant, my mother's teacher. So, it was kind of just random. I knew that it was something that I loved helping people. And I love the title of a doctor. Like, yeah, you're a boss. You know what I mean? Like, you're cool. Like, I love that title. But my parents always super supportive of everything I ever did. Gosh, like my dad, I just remember like in high school, he would read my books ahead of time and we would sit down and we would have lessons at home to make sure I nailed every test. I mean, he
So
was
he was very involved. Yeah.
committed, very involved, and did the same thing with my father. So education was always very huge and very big in my family. But I never really had anyone in the healthcare field. It was I was the first one.
Wow.
Yeah.
But grandma had it in her mind, and
Apparently, yeah.
so that is awesome. And you
Yeah.
referenced how important the title of being doctor of
Yeah.
optometry. Florida went through some challenges over the
Yes.
last few years. How
Yeah.
did that make you feel,
Yeah.
and like how involved did you get in
Yeah.
doing everything you could to preserve that?
So I think that sometimes we need these situations to kind of gather everyone together because really at that point in time, it was not about, oh, I'm a commercial OD versus private practice OD, because sometimes we have this thing between us, which is really crazy because there's enough patients to go around for everyone and no one's better than the other one, right? We all have the
Hmm.
same degree. We just have different goals and different wants. But so I think that when our title of, doctor of optometry or optometric physician, that's what it was. It was the word physician was going to be taken away from us, I think was a big shock to a lot of people. And I think it kind of grounded us and made us all kind of come together for a common goal and to show people like, listen, we are optometric physicians. Like we diagnose, we treat, we manage ocular disease, right? I prescribe oral medications. Does any other doctor prescribe oral medications? Yes, right? I
Yeah.
prescribe ocular medications. So, you know, when people say optometrists aren't real doctors, I think that's bull bleep. You can put that in there.
Yeah. No, it is.
You
It's
know?
them not being educated to
Oh, for sure.
everything that we do.
100%. I think that patients need to be educated on the difference between optician, optometrist, ophthalmologist. Yes, there are those three, and there's a big difference between them. Optometrists go to 4 years of optometry school after getting their bachelor's degree, which is another 4 years. and we truly focus on just the eye versus ophthalmologists. They go to medical school first. So they focus on the whole body and then they do residency specifically for the eye. So, when patients come to me, I think it's important that we emphasize that we don't just do glasses and contacts. You're also here to check your eye health. Do you have diabetes in the back of the eye? Do you have a history of melanoma? Is there a melanoma in the inside of your eye? So I have a lot of friends actually that are like, Gabby, I don't need my eyes checked. Like, I've got perfect 20/20 vision. And I'm like, yeah, but you could literally have like a retinal tumor, a retinal tear, and you not even know it. You have no idea. So being that we were almost going to have that title taken away from us, I think would have been a huge disaster, would have been horrible for our profession. But thankfully, we all came together. We raised money, and really it boils down to being involved in your local society, donating to your PAC, right? Because our profession is legislatively run, right? So if we don't have those legislators backing us up, then we're not going to have anything, right? So we need to be donating to their campaigns so that they're like, oh, yeah, optometrists, I want to back them up when they want to, do certain bill, or they want to pass a certain bill, or, so it's really important, basically being involved and donating. If you don't want to be involved, then donate your money. If everyone would just donate $100 a month, let's say, which is nothing to you or I, $100, our profession would be clean. It would be awesome, because we'd have all the money in the world to do all the things that we needed to do. But just some doctors don't get it. They're like, why? I don't understand, and it's sad. It's really sad because there's a small portion of us optometrists that are actually doing this hard work so that everyone can practice the way that they want to.
Well, I think a lot of it comes down to sometimes we get inside our own heads and there's questioning of, well, where's that money how is it being utilized? Where is it being sent? What advocacy efforts are taking place? There's really two big things that take place in advocacy. It's scope expansion and scope protection. And you guys saw that. And I know a lot of states have also seen it kind of filter out into some other state bills that have been trying to push through. And it's not a good situation for us as optometrists. And this is a pro optometry podcast. I don't care how you practice in regard to what modality, as long as you're taking care of people, corporate, private, whether you're affiliated with ophthalmologists or the VA or health centers or the school. I want our profession to thrive just like you. But it's those kind of instances that I'm glad you guys band together. I'm glad you guys took all of your differences and put it off to the side, and work together as one unit to preserve your professional identity in the state of Florida and really nationwide, right? Because if that would have passed in Florida, we could have seen a trickle effect.
That's correct. Yep, that's correct.
How have you gotten involved in locally? Aren't you involved in some of the local societies? And tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah. So when I graduated in 2014, I became a member of the Broward County Optometry Association, which is one of the largest in South Florida. And I became a trustee right away. So I kind of started at the bottom and I worked my way up. So at the time when I first joined, it was a 2-year term. So finally, when I made it up to presidency, I had already been involved for many, many years, about, 9 years. And now we have single terms, which I think makes it less stressful, for those involved. But it's been really nice to meet other ODs who have the same mindset, and it's a thankless job. I always say that it's a thankless job, but it is truly rewarding. So I am now the immediate past president because I turned over my presidency to an amazing doctor last May. Oh my gosh, we're in 2025. Last May. It's
crazy.
And it's it's been a great experience being involved. I mean, I've always been involved in different clubs and different activities. So this was no different for me.
Well, and you put it very, very simply. It is a thankless job at times. Volunteering within the profession can be overlooked by some of our peers, and but it's necessary. It's
Yeah,
important to have local, state, and national representation, because if we don't, as you referenced, things can get out of hand.
yeah.
And our local district here, I just turned over the presidency of the Western North Carolina Optometric Society, the Mountain District,
Mm-hmm.
and we had rebuilt some things after COVID and brought in a lot of CE, and we talked about advocacy efforts, and I did that also when I was in Charlotte. So it is important, and I'm glad that you saw the value in that, and you probably really felt the value in that during
For sure.
everything that's transpired over the last 3 to 5 years. But now that you're out, you're able to kind of shift gears and focus your efforts into other things. So what has it been like to be a consultant for a company like Johnson and Johnson? Like, how did that even
Come about.
transpire? Like, how did that begin? And then now, what has it been like?
So, what's nice about optometry is that you can do different things, right? You
Hmm.
don't just have to refract all day. And I love fitting contact lenses. Now, I did not do a residency in anything. Once I graduated optometry school, I was like, let's go. Like, I need the
Hmm.
hands-on experience. I just need to get out there and do my thing and
Yeah.
kind of learn by doing. And so I have always become very good friends with all of my reps. I think that they support us and our profession. So it's really important for us to give them the time of day and listen about their products, and just be aware of that there's different technologies when it comes to contact lenses, right? Like I've always said, don't fit a contact lens based off nothing. Fit a contact lens based off your patient's need, right? So if you have a blue light contact and they're always on the computer, choose something that's going to help them. If they're complaining of glare and halos, choose something that's going to help them. So I have always been well versed in contact lenses and good friends with my reps. So the Johnson and Johnson rep, who's my good friend, Julie, she was like, you're so good at fitting our contact lenses. Have you ever thought about maybe, being part of the pack? They call it the pack, like they're a group of doctors that speak nationwide and educate other doctors on contact lens innovations. And I said, I don't know. I've never really thought about it.
Yeah.
I've spoken, in front of hundreds of doctors and done CE events, but nothing like this. So I was like, yeah, you know what? Sure. Like, I think I could do this, So I was invited to a Latin, Hispanic Heritage Month sort of meeting where I was part of a panelist, and J&J sponsored it. And we didn't talk about any J&J products actually at all. It was all about the panelists and their backgrounds and how they became interested in optometry and all that. And they kind of just heard me speak and they were like, you know what, like we can see you being part of our group.
That's
So I
awesome.
was like, yeah, I was like, okay. I was like, let's see how this works. So they trained us in Texas. We went up for training in Texas where we learned all about the technology. And, my first event, I had the boss come and watch me. It was in a very loud restaurant with no doors. So
Oh
I know that
man.
you do certain events, Ryan, and
Oh,
like
I've done
it's
a number of those.
it's
Yes.
horrible when like it's loud and you're screaming and you're trying to present your material and people are talking, because they're getting distracted. So it was a train wreck, my first event. But as I continued to do them, you kind of like add your own flair with, your clinical experience and how you fit patients and what type of patients and how you get them to try contacts if they've never been contact lens wearers, how you get them to continue to become successful wearers, right? Because we don't want our patients to drop out of wearing contacts. and how to sell those year supplies, right? And these are all things that doctors struggle with all the time.
Yeah.
So it's been nice to make a little extra cash and then also be able to do something different. I travel for I try to get in and out very quickly. Like I'm going to go to Tampa in February and I'll literally be in and out in 24 hours. So I don't miss that much time from the clinic. I'll fly in at 7 or 8 in the morning and I'll go straight to work.
Yeah, trust me. I've done a number of dinner presentations for Bosch and
Right.
Lomb, and
Yeah.
I get it. I know exactly what you're talking about. That if the environment is not conducive of a good, engaging conversation, it's just another challenge to overcome. Sometimes
Yes.
I've had tech glitches where maybe
Oh gosh.
the screen doesn't work, or but I think that the general concept of these doctor dinners and getting everybody together to have like-minded conversations and
Right.
to learn best practices. The reality is a lot of times I'm up there and you probably feel the same way. You're sharing information and then somebody from the crowd engages and you learn something from them, maybe a way that they think
100%.
about something or how they deliver information. And that's really what really helps the
Right.
profession at large is getting together and collaborating with other optometrists
Yep.
to raise and elevate patient care. And, the contact lens portfolio that we have from the big four nowadays compared to what it even looked like 15, 20 years ago, even 10,
Mhm.
it's pretty incredible. It's
It
nice to
is.
have a lot of tools in our toolbox and be able to have these conversations with our peers. So contact lenses are a big part of your clinical, skill set. What else you said you're part of a 5-doctor private practice, largest private practice in
Yeah.
Southeast Florida. Walk me through a little bit of what that looks like on a day-to-day basis, clinically, but also collaboratively with the doctors. They're all
Yeah.
optometrists, or there's some
Yes.
ophthalmologists, or
So there's actually it's 6 including me.
okay, 6
And
including
so
you.
6 including me, yeah. So there's about 4 of us working the same day. We have about 10 rooms. We have full tech support. We have scribes. So Dr. Davis, who started the practice about 55 years ago, who's my boss, one of the bosses, he pretty much ironed out everything. I mean, we have everything out to a T so that our patients don't wait and they're able to get the best possible care. So I love working at that practice because we have an Optomap, we have, topography, we have an OCT, we have IPL, radio frequency, we have all different sorts of technology where the neural lens, which, you might have, I feel like when you have all these different technologies in your office, you're better able to serve your patients. And so this is kind of like a one-stop shop. If you have issues with your contact lenses because you have dry eye, we try to treat your dry eye first before we go ahead and
Absolutely.
just fit you in another contact.
Yes.
So it's nice also to work with other optometrists who have different areas of expertise. So one of our doctors is amazing at binocular vision and concussions. We have a couple doctors there that went to residency, so they fit hard to fit contact lenses, and so they deal mostly with the keratoconus and those sorts of patients. So we do a lot of myopia control too. So it doesn't get boring, there's always different sorts of patients and different things that we're dealing with day in and day out, that it's truly not just refracting.
Yeah, I mean, optometry is so much more than which is better,
Mhm.
one or two. It's
100%.
of course that is the bread and butter of optometry is helping patients see better, but
Right.
when you take a peek behind the curtains,
Mhm.
you can't see if you don't have good eye health. You can't wear contact lenses if you're suffering from really advanced dry eye disease. You can't, operate in certain professions if you have keratoconus and you're not wearing
Right.
scleral contact lenses. So there are so many different things to look into as an optometrist. And it sounds like based on your practice, you have all the
Mhm.
tools you need, but you also have the collaborative effort amongst your
Right.
peers, which is
Right.
super cool because you can bounce things off them. You can refer
Yes.
within the practice. I
Yes.
have a multi-location practice, doctors that specialize in different things. And it's just really nice to be able
It is.
to, to refer within clinic, but
Yeah.
also, when we hit certain times where somebody's not comfortable doing something, but we know optometrists do it, we'll refer to optometrists outside the clinic. And I think that's
100%.
something that our profession needs to continue to get on board with. We need to work together collaboratively in those efforts.
I totally agree. I don't want to deal with keratoconus. I don't want to fit specialty lenses. So I have no problem, giving that to one of my colleagues, that's the way it works, right? We all
And
have our specialties and what we like to do and what we don't like to do. And that's okay.
that is perfectly okay. And I think it takes time to identify that. Like, how early on? You've been out for how many years now practicing?
10.
Good for you. I got more than you. I graduated in 2012, residency 2013. But yeah, it goes
I
by in
know
the
I
blink
look
of an
good. It's
eye.
the Botox.
You look fantastic, and like you said, you're very active, and you take care of your nutrition. Fitness wise, you do everything you can. That's fantastic. But how long did it take you to kind of get your rhythm? No residency, right? Because I don't think
Right.
everybody needs to do a residency, but I also
No,
am. I'm pro residency if you feel like it's the right fit for you, but I don't feel like it's
totally.
you must absolutely have to do a residency to be successful. How long did it take you to kind of get into your groove? Did you go directly into this clinic, or did you have another practice or two that you worked in and you kind of ironed out what worked best for you?
So for about 6 to 10 months, I did work at private practices, two different ones, kind of going back and forth
Hmm.
as the solo doctor at that practice during that time. So I had no one to ask questions to, or, hey, what do you think this corneal thing is? Can you come check? Like, that wasn't available to me. So it wasn't until I went to the practice that am now, because I've been there for almost 10 years, that I was able to feel a little bit more confident and comfortable because I had that person to back me up. And still, I have no shame in asking another doctor, hey, can you come in and give me your opinion? Like, do you agree with what I'm seeing? Do you not agree? What do you think I should do here? And if you're never, if you're alone and you're not sure what to do, just refer out. It doesn't hurt our egos. Refer out, get them over to an ophthalmologist, phone a friend. It's okay to not know everything, right?
Oh, absolutely.
100%. So I would say 2-3 years out is when I became more confident in seeing patients and my work. But what really helped was being part of a practice that was so big and always had people around me where I could ask for help.
Kind of like a mentorship almost. You
Yeah.
had certain mentors. Who have been some of the bigger mentors in your life?
I would say Dr. Diana Scheckman, who is an OD that is so smart when it comes to posterior segment. She was a professor at Nova and then went off to work with a lot of different ophthalmologists. Also, two of my bosses, Dr. Robert Davis, who has been working and consulting for J&J for years and years and years. He was one of the first consultants for them. He has kind of
Oh, wow.
taken me under his wing and, taught me some of, the things that he says during his talks and stuff. So it's been kind of nice to do this alongside with him. And Dr. Amanda Nancy, which you probably know
Yeah,
her.
I know Amanda. Yeah.
She's an amazing boss and just always so caring and thoughtful and always so willing to help. So I would say those three have been like my top peeps, I'd say.
Well, in our profession, small but mighty, I think it's important if anybody who's listening who doesn't have a mentor, somebody that they
Oh
can kind of
yeah.
lean into for questions,
Mhm.
whether it's clinically related questions or whether it's life related questions or
Yeah.
practice management or patient management related questions, because we're serving the human, we're serving the public. And sometimes the public can be easy to serve. Sometimes they can make it very difficult and challenging. And
Yeah.
so the fact that you have those resources around you is truly incredible. So what's in the next few years? Like, let's just say 3 to 5 years out, where do you see yourself in this profession, but also personally?
So I want to say that FOA sees me as being part of the FOA.
Okay. So they're recruiting you.
I
They're grooming you.
I,
Yeah.
trying. I don't know if I'm ready to commit yet, like it's tough because when you're involved locally, you are really involved. And
Hmm.
I was involved for 10 years, so it was kind of nice this year to just take a breather and take a little bit of a break. But I still see myself just being involved and doing something with them, even though I'm the immediate past president, I still speak to different legislative people and, educate them about our profession, because that's just an ongoing thing that we constantly have to deal with. And I've made good friends with a lot of House of Representatives from South Florida, and they know me, and
Oh
I'm,
yeah, you're a
their
key
eye
OD.
doctor. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
their eye doctor. So they back me up, and I'm going to back them up, So I still see myself being involved somehow, legislatively with, our profession. I see myself doing more work with Johnson and Johnson and traveling, not just for them, but maybe with family, maybe
Yeah.
some trips. I know we're going to Ireland in
Ooh.
June. Yeah, my husband loves to golf. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but
I like to
that's
golf too, but
something
he's
he
probably a
wants to do.
much better
He's
golfer
a
than
very
me if
good
he wants to go
golfer.
set
He's
that
very good. Yeah,
set that
he's
trip up.
very
That's
good.
like a bucket list golfer trip.
Yes, yes. And I'm a very good wife because I said I will go with the kids.
Oh,
So
with the kids too.
yes,
Woo!
yes, yes.
I love it.
So, and I mean that's about it. Like I'm so happy in our profession, just, you know, going in, seeing patients, and when I'm there, I'm focused, I'm happy. And then when I'm at home, I'm focused on my kids and being home and being a great mommy. And then when I have that time to myself, having more personal records in the gym and continuing to, do better at the gym, lift heavier weights and get stronger and look fitter.
Well, Gabby, I think that you are a true pioneer for female optometrists that want to be very involved in the practice, in the profession, but also as a mom and somebody who has an escape route to go and have your own goals.
Yeah.
It's a lot, obviously I'm a father, but I'm not a mother. And it's a lot to be a mom in any capacity, right? Whether you stay at home, whether you're working, with all the different facets that comes with motherhood. You are a shining light and you are a true leader in our profession. And I'm proud of you. So, if you were to give just a few words of inspiration for anybody who's listening to this podcast, and maybe they're already an optometrist, maybe they're not, about the profession and just how great of a profession it can be and is, and just provide a little bit of optimism and insight for them.
Sure. So I think it's always important to continue learning. So whether you like to keep up on social media and, learn things, new pharmaceuticals coming out, or new diseases, new treatments, it's always really important to stay up to date, right? Because if you're not up to date, your patients are not going to come to you, right? So, and also being confident in your work and how you speak to your patients, because sometimes we as optometrists, we're scared and we're timid, and maybe we feel like we don't know certain things, maybe when it comes to contact lenses or diseases. But talk confidently to the patient when you're prescribing certain things. Ask for help when necessary. Don't be afraid to call a friend, or even make friends with your local ophthalmologist. Like, I'm friends with so many ophthalmologists where I will text them a picture and I'll be like, hey, I'm not sure what this is in the retina. I know it doesn't look like an emergency. Is it urgent? Do you want to see it today? Do you want to wait? Can I monitor? And make friends with them, because they're going to help you, right? So a lot of times they text me back. They're like, Gabby, that's nothing. Go ahead and just see them back in 3 months. Fine. And then I kept the patient, So I think that keep learning, be confident when you see your patients, make friends with ophthalmologists, and just know that day in, day out, you are saving eyes, saving lives, and you are in a great profession.
I love that. Saving eyes and
Yeah,
saving lives.
it's
And
true.
never be afraid to reach out for assistance and
No,
help. I can tell you some of the local ophthalmologists that I've worked with over the years, they're appreciative when you reach out, especially if you have an image or you have
right,
some diagnostic testing to share. They're swamped as it is. So if you're able
right,
to keep that patient in house or maybe delay the referral, not make it urgent, that helps them out as well.
right.
I appreciate you being on the podcast today. I'm grateful for our friendship. I look forward to catching up in person. Will you be at Expo? Maybe at Expo?
Oh, I'm just so
trying to figure it out. Yeah.
tired of like
I don't blame you.
doing stuff that like these past 6 months have been like so nice, And so
You're catching your breath
I'm
then.
gonna get, I know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back into going to the conferences and things like that. But just right now, because my kids are still so young and they need me home, and traveling with J&J takes some time away from being at home. I have so many continuing education credits. It's like beyond. So I have some that
You're
I
maxed
can,
out.
yeah, I'm maxed out. So for right now, I'm good. But soon, yes, I'm going to get back into it.
I respect that. And I encourage you to take the time to, just reset and refocus and kind of plan all that out. So if people want to connect with you on a more personal level, if they have questions, what's the best preferred way for them to do so?
I would say on Instagram, my Instagram handle is livingin2020. I'm happy to help with anything, any questions, any students that are thinking about going into optometry school or who are already in optometry school. If you're a new grad and you have questions about anything, like I'm an open book. If you know me, you know I'm an open book, and I'm happy to talk to anyone and anything about most things.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a great start and, just an excellent 2025. And I look forward to catching up and seeing you soon. And you have a wonderful day. And everybody who's tuning in, feel free to share this podcast to your friends, your colleagues, and stay tuned for my next podcast where we can reflect and grow stronger together.